Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Clayton.
And my name is James. How are you, Clayton?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
All right. Yeah, enjoyed the footy last night, which is probably a nice way to kick off this. The theme of this people's poll is out of contract players, and I guess the bulk of that is a lot of the talk around the three Liverpool players at the moment. In terms of the rest of the options in the people's poll, well, Champions League games, and we covered two of them on Clayton and James yesterday. We're going to cover Liverpool Madrid a little bit now, and obviously Steve Cooper's departure from Leicester. So we covered those other two topics on the Clayton and James show yesterday. So this was layered as the three Liverpool players and other out of contract players. But firstly, as we are going to talk Liverpool, it's probably worth covering. I did watch the game against Real Madrid last night, and it reminded me why I think Liverpool will beat Manchester City on Sunday.
Yeah, I didn't catch the whole game because I had football training, so I caught the final half hour. But you did say to me I caught the best bit. So what was the first hour like?
um, Quite tight. I mean, Liverpool had the better of it, but I wouldn't say we're like all over Madrid. It's worth acknowledging that certainly Real Madrid have got a number of players absent at the moment. And on the subject of absences, I would suggest Ibrahim Konate has probably got a bad problem. Literally, in the last action of the game, he tried to shield the ball back to Kelleher, and Madrid player might have been Diaz running through, kind of landed on top of him, kind of buckled underneath him. There's a possibility that might be a bad injury, the way he was coming off the pitch afterwards. And Connor Bradley was outstanding. It looks like probably picked up a hamstring problem as well. So a few little issues. I would suggest for those getting excited about Jarell Quansah, it's way more likely that Joe Gomez plays. And I imagine they'll probably rush Trent back into the team for the
I
game
think
on
Gomez was the
Sunday.
one that came on anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I guess there's a chance if Trent's not ready, Gomez would play right back and Quansah would play centre back. But
Yep.
I doubt that. Mo missed the penalty.
Yeah, it's good. He's getting it out of his system in the
I
Champions
mean,
League, not in the Prem.
there was probably Erling Haaland owners who have gone without Mo Salah probably didn't think they could be trolled any more than Haaland then getting two in the Champions League and Mo Salah missing a penalty. Yep, you kind of wish that had happened in a Premier League game, but it hasn't. It's worth saying that penalty that Salah missed, he kind of kicks the ground a little bit actually. Um, the way he won the penalty was so devastating. Against Furlan Mendy. The way he ran at him was just blistering. It reminded me a little bit of the final action when he kind of chops it back. You know, when Messi put Boateng on his ass.
Oh yeah,
Um,
savage.
a little bit, a little bit. Salah just did him all ends up. They played well, Liverpool. They deserve to win. It's exactly what you think a European night could be at Anfield, where the longer it goes on, the crowd gets more involved, the intensity of the game goes up, and it just had a little bit too much for Madrid,
Yeah,
actually.
you could really feel, especially on the atmosphere front. Like they got the first goal in the 52nd minute, but then there was kind of wave after wave of like tackles flying in, and then you could really feel the crowd getting up for it. And then you saw, I think Bradley made a tackle at one point, and he was celebrating it mad. And like that's where, yeah, I think when Anfield's like that, especially on a weeknight, is yeah, a very overwhelming place to be. But yeah, Liverpool 5 wins out of five, topping the Champions League league table. Real Madrid though, flipping out 24th out of
You're on
the
6 points,
36.
yeah.
Yeah.
Genuine. I mean, City, Madrid, PSG, there's a few in a little bit of an unstable position, let's say. It's worth saying Madrid are 24th in that table, but it is 2 points to the team in 25th, which is it's very interesting the way that's laid out already. But for the teams behind, you're not just catching one team, you're trying to catch loads of teams. So if the teams behind get the points, they'll still get out of it. It looks like now, following the results this week, you probably will need 16 points for top eight, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because we weren't sure if it would
Um,
be 15 or 16 last week, were
Yeah,
we?
it's beginning to look like it's probably going to be 16. I think down to about 11th is on 10 points. So that's running at 2 points per game. So it looks like it's probably going to need to be 16 for top eight. I think it's probably going to be 10 or so to stay in the competition. Kylian Mbappe also missed a penalty.
He
Well, I
did.
should say missed. It was saved by Kelleher, who's a great number two goalkeeper for Liverpool. I could do with a great number two goalkeeper at the moment. He's not really at it at Madrid at the moment, it's fair to say. But again, we should remember the likes of Vinicius Jr. was missing last night. And a
Even
shout out to
when,
the
oh,
smart
sorry.
people at Anfield who clapped Luka Modric off when he got substituted.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, well, you know it's probably the last time you're going to see him, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think players of that ilk generation, When they get to the end, he's not someone who kind of winds you up. You think, oh, you little bastard, or he's just a good footballer,
I don't
isn't he?
think he's
So
ever been one of them, to be honest.
no, he's not someone you look at as a cheat or says things publicly or whatever. You just admire a great footballer. I thought that was a nice touch from the Liverpool crowd last night. Basically, everything at Liverpool is going very, very well, much better than anybody could have possibly expected at the moment. But this spectre around the three players out of contract, it's quite remarkable that we are 2 days from the end of November. And we have three players who, arguably, if we put a combined Premier League 11 together, arguably would all be in it.
Yep.
You could argue the case Liverpool's kind of three key players, maybe over the last 5 years or so. Mo Salah is certainly under legendary status. Trent Alexander-Arnold is very capable of that legendary status, and I'm sure Virgil van Dijk is one of the great centre backs that Anfield has seen. For them all to be out of contract at the same time, I don't think I can ever remember anything like this. We've had a
No.
situation where you get like one big player, and it's like, what's going to happen? Three massive players, all from the same team, all running out of contract at the same time. I can't. Can you think of an example like this?
No, like you say, I think it's always historically just one star player as opposed to two, three of this ilk. And I just can't understand how this has happened. Like, I think it's two-pronged in my head. Part of it is like it's just really poor management in terms of the ownership. I'm not saying management in terms of Slot, who's obviously just come in. And I find FSG a really confusing group. Like from an outsider looking in, I'm like, are they good owners or have they just kind of lucked out in terms of Klopp doing an amazing job and now Slot coming in? Like, because even I don't know, I was kind of scouring Liverpool forums, speaking to a few of my Liverpool supporting friends. None of them love FSG. Like,
No, not at all.
yeah, and I do think even if you look at their signings, like sure they spent big on Allison's, Van Dijk's in isolation, but it was all based on revenue that they generated through big sales, right? Like they haven't really gone and kind of splashed the cash from their own back pocket. So yeah, I find FSG a bit of a confusing group from the outside looking in. But the one thing I look at this in isolation, I just think this is incompetent management at a boardroom level, not footballing level, obviously.
Is it like you
Why
can't
wouldn't it
force?
be?
Well, I don't know. You can't force people tie them to a chair and force them to put pen to
No, but like,
paper.
so Salah coming out and saying he's not even been offered one. I think that's the thing. It's like
Do we believe that?
yeah, I know. This is the thing. It's like everyone has their own story, right? Yeah, I don't know. He could be just negotiating. I don't know. Um, working on the assumption they haven't been offered a contract, that for me is where I think that falls into negligence because I think not even offering something to players of that caliber, that is just like mind blowing. And I don't know, like, do you remember De Bruyne? I think whenever he signed his last contract, he spoke quite a lot about using like a data company to kind of put together his worth and stuff. Like, I don't know if there's an element of Liverpool and FSG using analytics to assess the resale value of Salah Van Dijk, but we literally spoke 3 minutes ago about the level Salah's playing at. I refuse to believe there's any data that kind of suggests there's a decline on the way looking at how he's playing at the minute. I don't know. I find it a really confusing one. Where's your head at with it?
Um, I'd like to focus on each one individually, but kind of first the collective, because the thing with having the three players out of contract is they're all going to be looking at each other, I would think. And Van Dijk is kind of a little bit separate, I think, from the other two in the sense of his age, his profile. Now, Liverpool fans keep telling me, no, we definitely want him to stay. And I imagine that Liverpool probably will put a contract there, and there's every chance he will sign it, even if it's just a 1 year. So that's a little bit different to the other two because Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold is clearly not going to be 1 year. Mo Salah doesn't just want one more year. I'm sure Liverpool fans don't want to be having the same conversations in 12 months. Give him 2 to 3 years, whatever he wants in terms of salary, as long as it's within reason. But I'm sure they're all looking at each other and going, how much are you being offered? And
Oh,
what's the length of
100%.
your contract? And the different positions, different profiles, different ages. Trent's the one that feels the most unforgivable for me because local boy, age profile, I think considering he is a right back, he would go on the market if Real Madrid wanted to buy him, he's got 4 years left on his contract for a stupid amount of money. What are
Yeah.
we starting with? 80
Yeah.
minimum?
Minimum. Yeah.
100 maybe? Just because he's so unique in terms of what he is as a player. If
Future
that go
captain potential.
if that goes exactly, if that goes for free transfer, that feels particularly unforgivable. with Mo, I can get the hesitation a little bit more because of his age. And at some point, he will slow down. That might not be for 3 or 4 years. I have no idea. But I guess after injuries he had in sort of the January, February period, then that might have caused a little bit of hesitancy. And so we want to wait, make sure it's all still there. I think what Salah did the other day is particularly interesting because Mo Salah doesn't talk to the media.
Nah, that was I was quite surprised as well.
He doesn't talk to the media hardly ever. He's basically, as far as we can work out, he's done it twice. I can't even recall him doing many kind of post-game interviews after games or anything, actually.
What was the second time he did? Was that around a contract as well? Or
No, I think it was two
oh
times before. One was he was happy to do interviews after they won the Champions League
oh
final, which is understandable. I wouldn't have been. And there was another game before that in his first season where he'd done some interviews and stuff. So basically, he's not really done an interview for like 5 years or so in terms of like public speaking after a game. And he has decided, according to the Athletic, they're all getting on the coach, and he's after the game at Southampton, and I'm not going on the coach. I'm going to go and speak to them reporters, and he never does it. So it's something he has decided, or his agent said. There's normally reporters there go and speak to one. Something has prompted that. Liverpool haven't said go and speak to them.
no.
No chance. It's his decision, clearly, and he knows what he's going to be asked when he goes over there. He's just won them a game that they were losing. Your timing's good. It's in everyone's psyche. His performances are obviously still fantastic at the moment. And he's gone over, and I cannot believe that. I can believe that there's no contract offer, as in this is it, sign it. But the idea that there's no negotiate, I can't believe that. Like
Yeah.
legitimately, if Liverpool are just sitting there going, yeah, we're just going to let him leave on a free. Like I am staggered by that. That can't be the case, surely, can it? It
I
can't
mean,
be.
it surely it can't be, but you never know. Like, yeah, I don't know. Never had any insight into how these things work in real life, to be honest.
all
What
the
did you
power,
actually?
all the powers with Salah. This is it when it
Yeah.
gets late in the contracts like this. The power is with the player. If you're a good player, if you're a shit player, you're in trouble. If you're a Mo Salah, the power is with you.
Uh, to offer a different perspective on that, it is and it isn't, I think, because it seems like he really wants to stay. And I'm not sure where he would go that is better than the setup and environment he's in right now. Just given, like, I'm not saying there's not teams better than Liverpool, but the teams that are better than Liverpool are fairly sorted in those positions, I think.
Most would still have Mo Salah, mate.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Salah
like,
gets in the City team at the moment, for example.
yeah, but is that a realistic move? I don't think so.
Well, who's going to pay him the money? And one thing he was clear about, which was I thought was really interesting, it's kind of a nugget to take away from this little interview he did with, I think it was NBC reporters, maybe, or CBS, I'm not sure. It was an American group though. Was if you think back to not this summer, but the summer before, and we've got towards the final days of the transfer window, and the Saudi Arabian clubs were going mad. And there was a lot of speculation like they might come for Mo right here at the end of the window. And even I remember on deadline day, there was concern that was there going to be a real big offer coming in? And at that point, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Liverpool can maximize the revenue they would get from him now. Obviously, never materialized. He was specifically asked about Saudi Arabia, and his response was, "I want to keep playing at the top level."
So
Pretty
didn't
much
say
shutting
specific.
down
Yeah.
the idea that he was going to go to Saudi Arabia. If people find that disrespectful, then fine, you can find that disrespectful. Saudi Arabia is not the top level of football. So he's saying, he's coming, I love the club. I'm not going to go to Saudi Arabia. So you're right. Like, who would pay the wages for him? Madrid? They only buy left wingers, mate.
Yeah, maybe they'll actually go for a balanced front
Trent,
line and
I mean, imagine the scenario. Trent and Mo Salah both went to Real Madrid for free.
Madrid need a centre back as well, don't they? Van Dijk might as well go there as well.
Yeah, I'd not considered that. Um, I think Mo Salah will stay at Liverpool
Okay, why?
because I'm pretty sure my big takeaway from that was I've got the control now, and you're going to bow to me a little bit, and I'm going to ask what these digits are going to be. And right now he's in a position not where he can ask for anything, but if you said to Liverpool, right, Mo Salah wants a 3 year contract and he wants 500 grand a week, Liverpool fans are going to say, give it to him.
Yeah. I think
So
it
that
was
external pressure is going to be, we'll keep our best player.
people have their opinions on the interview, right? I think it was tactical and smart what he did because he's protected his own
Definitely
image.
tactical.
Yeah, like in terms of the fans on his side, I think he's squashed any kind of doubt in terms of what the perception may be of him. And yeah, I think it was very smart from him in that front.
I also had suspicions that they would they were holding the three players back to announce them all together in one go. Just imagine you sit all three of them down in the chair together. You can imagine what the video would be like if it
Oh,
blew up on
100%.
social media. If they just announced them all together, they'd all re-sign. And I was a bit suspicious that that might be something that was happening, but I feel like it's gone too long now. I discussed with Dan Lord, our Liverpool correspondent, in the summer on correspondent week and said, am I missing something, Dan? This feels weird. Why is this going on for so long? And there seemed to be like this calm, not specifically from Dan, but it's calm. They'll stay. I don't know, man. One more month and Trent can go and talk. He's allowed to go. I'm going on a plane to talk to Madrid about my future. Like, that's amazing.
You said
That shouldn't be happening.
you think Salah stays. What's your gut feel on Trent right now?
What's interesting with Trent as well is um, when you look at Conor Bradley's performance again last night, you would have to say that that would be the one that would be the least in terms of how the pitch would look now. You've got a ready-made replacement. He's not up to Trent's level yet or anything. You go, that is a super talent. Like if Liverpool were selling him for £100 million and you went, well, we're going to invest in this guy as a replacement and we're going to spend the money in a different area of the team, etc. You go, okay, I get it. There's a succession plan. So in having Bradley there, it feels like the succession is there. So that feels like the one that's maybe not the worst to lose. But in terms of off the pitch, it is. He's the local boy, his age, his profile. You said potential future captain. I agree with that. That's the one that shouldn't be allowed to go almost under any circumstance. Like if Liverpool did truly believe, right, Mo, we think this is going to be your last year at the top level, and we're clever enough to let it go if that's what they truly believe, then I can kind of get it. Letting Trent go on a free. I mean, ultimately as well, think back to 15 months or so ago and Tottenham's situation with Harry Kane. And ultimately, Tottenham weren't going to take the chance on the final year because, and you might say the models of the two clubs are a little bit different. Tottenham weren't going to lose up to the £100 million of selling Kane, homegrown, what it does for PSR, etc. But Liverpool haven't exactly gone and spent big, right? Can Liverpool
No,
afford to lose an asset like Trent for free? I mean, if Mo Salah was a sellable asset on the market, let's say Man City did want to buy Mo Salah right now, what did they actually pay for him?
I find him a really weird one to quantify, Salah. I don't know, like with people like Trent, I'm like, yeah, I can pluck a number out. I don't know if it's because he's such an efficient player. I don't think his value gets inflated to the level it probably should be
But
when
would
we
he even
were.
still, even now at his age, and people might find this ridiculous, would he still go for 50 million? And I say that because people might think that's too low.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I find he's one of the hardest players for me to put a figure on. Like he could go for 50, he could go for 100. I have no idea with him. Just go in the middle, say 75.
The biggest value from a bank sheet perspective, I think, is Trent.
Yes. Yeah, because of the age and everything. Yeah.
And also, if Mo stays for another 2, 3 years, then you certainly are at an age where I think you go, yeah, thank you very much. Off you go. Yeah, go and play in the MLS or wherever for a couple of years and finish your career. We don't want a fee. That's fine. Letting Trent go for free is it would just be completely unacceptable, I think.
Yeah, I just think in terms of like what Liverpool have done so well in the past in terms of selling an asset for a high amount of money, reinvesting it, like they've just put themselves in a position where they're going, even if they have to sell one, two, or all three of these, they've put themselves in a position where they're going to get less value than they would have if their contracts were in a better position.
The other thing is well with these streetwise agents. I mean, I presume they've all got different agents,
I
but
don't know, to be fair.
they'll be talking to each other.
Yeah.
I don't think there's we can offer Van Dijk this and Mo won't know. They'll all be talking to each other, won't they? Surely.
Yeah, I tell you what, it would be a bloody masterstroke if they do time it where Van Dijk and Salah suddenly fall off a cliff next season. Like you remember Aubameyang signed that new con I know Aubameyang's not in the same level as Salah, but like he was performing really well for Arsenal, signed that big contract, and he fell off the face of the earth, didn't he? So but there was
Don't
some
get me
analytics.
started on Aubameyang's video after he signed a new contract. That's legacy. That is, mate.
Oh no, flipping hell. But there were I remember at the time a lot of the analytics people in the football world saying, "Oh, this is a mistake giving him that contract." So maybe there is something to it, but who knows?
Do you think they'll all stay or not? I would all be playing for Liverpool next year.
No, not all of them. I think Trent's gonna go. I think Salah will stay. I think Van Dijk will stay as well. I think Trent's the only one that will actually go.
I
What
think
about you?
Van Dijk's name really is only coming into this because the other two names are coming into this.
I don't know. I
Like,
think that's harsh.
no, I don't mean it from a quality of player point of view. All I mean is I think it's calm. I
Oh,
think it's calm with Van Dijk. I think it probably will be like a year extension, and
yeah,
he'll probably stay. I don't think there's huge concern on that. I think he would probably be quite happy to stay another year. I think from the players' perspective as well, there might have been an element of it was obviously so successful under Jurgen Klopp. Let's be honest, most of us thought there would be a dip for them this year. They
yep,
have done incredibly well, and there might have been an element of, well, I want to see how this is first. Well, if that's what you've done, I presume you're happy to carry on because you're favourites for the league. You're in the top of
literally
the
top of
Champions League
the yeah,
table. No, incredible performance from that team so far this season. That's what just makes it all dafter. This is the only reason to be in any way negative about Liverpool at the moment
yeah,
is
and
these contracts.
yeah, and that's purely on the kind of ownership. I think like how they are not looking at this, thinking we're in a great moment in the league, a great moment in the Champions League. Let's double down, capitalize this, and like really set ourselves up so this can be sustainable beyond this season. I have no idea.
Yeah, I like you. I think Trent might go.
In Jan or next season?
I think next season because I think Madrid would be saying to him if it is Madrid, and that's what many of us think it might be. Yeah, end of the season free transfer. I think there is the argument there with obviously Danny Carvajal's obviously serious injury. Do you want to pursue that quicker and stuff? I think Madrid are quite happy to take players on free transfers at the moment, not spending like Premier League clubs. And you can get it. Trent's obviously really close with Jude Bellingham. That's been well documented. You can see it. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
also
Oh,
say Trent's staying at Liverpool. I don't think if Trent goes to Real Madrid, I don't think it's he doesn't love Liverpool or anything like that. I just think it's you can never know with a player. Like he might want to. I want the lifestyle to live in Madrid for 3 years or something like that. You
he
have
wants the
no
Ballon
idea
d'Or, mate. He's gonna get that if he goes to Madrid, isn't he?
what
Well,
Trent.
did you not see that interview? That I was taking the piss there. There was an interview where he was asked a question. I can't remember exactly, but it was like, would you rather be captain of Liverpool, win a certain trophy, or win the Ballon d'Or? And he kind of went Ballon d'Or, like no hesitation. And the general narrative on football Twitter was like, oh my God, he's going to Madrid. So I was just taking the piss with that.
Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm not down with the kids. I also don't blame him for that answer. That's kind of the pinnacle of being an individual, isn't it? I think he might go. I actually think this Mo Salah stuff will get sorted out in the next month.
All right. And it's going to be an extension.
Yeah.
700K a week at Liverpool. Here we go.
Do you think can't be that much,
Oh,
can
I
it?
was
I don't.
yeah, taking the piss. Fuck knows. Probably between 300 and 400 is what
I'm
he's
sure the majority
after.
of Liverpool fans at the moment would be like, yeah, call the first number and we'll put five zeros after it and we're okay with
Do you know
that.
what they're on? Does Transfermarkt to give us that info?
No, I don't know what they are on salary wise. Actually, I mean, I would guess Mo 300 grand a week or something. I would
That's what I was thinking.
guess
Yeah,
probably. And I do get it. Like he's getting older, and you're like, we want to give you more money. It's weird. Football's different to life, right? In life, you progress, you do well, you get more money. In football, you get old and you get discriminated against. It's quite interesting, but we understand it.
I just think the
Um,
cost of replacing someone like Mo Salah, like how much would a transfer fee cost and the wages to go and get someone that can actually not produce to the same level as him, but come in and contribute to Liverpool's goals?
I mean, just kind of fag packet maths here, but if they got him to sign a 2 year contract on 500 grand a week, 50 million plus probably a 10 million sign on or something like that, call it 60 odd million. You're going to find something better for that money in the next 2 years. And it's not like you're getting that money in because he's leaving for free anyway, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think they all need sorting with ideally. That does include Van Dijk. I'm pretty confident Van Dijk will stay. I do
me
think
too.
Mo will end up re signing on. I'm very suspicious about this trend stuff now.
Yeah, I
Very
am in
suspicious.
alignment. Watch this space.
Before we finish, we thought we'd cover off just some interesting players from some other clubs around the league that's obviously out of contracts. half of Arsenal's midfield looks like it wants to disappear in the summer. Partey and Jorginho out of contract. The only club in the league that doesn't, as far as I can tell, hasn't got any player out of contract this summer is Bournemouth.
Yeah, go on the cherries.
Actually, Christian Norgard is out of contract at Brentford in the summer. He's had his red card at Everton overturned, by the way. I seem to be the only person in the world who thinks that was a red card, but I did say there's been enough media narrative around it. It will probably get overturned now. There's a few at Brighton out of contract. Joel Veltman and Tariq Lamptey, basically Brighton's two right backs, both out of contract. Veltman's one where that's kind of an interesting case where they got him from Ajax. I think, God, about 5 years ago now, and they paid like £900,000 for him,
Oh
and
wow.
he was considered like an experienced player then when they got hold of him. So he's given them like good 5 years or so. They didn't pay a lot from him. That's at the end. You shake his hand afterwards, say thank you very much, off you go. If that's what it's going to be, and that's kind of perfect case scenario. Lamptey, unfortunately, is injuries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chelsea, unsurprisingly, have basically no one out of contracts other than one of their backup goalkeepers.
You're
And
just gonna see. Oh, go
that'll
on.
probably be the case next year and the year after
Yeah.
because they're all on such
You're
long
just gonna see.
contracts.
We'll be doing this pod in 7 years' time. It's like, oh fuck, the whole of Chelsea's squad is out of contract.
One interesting name at Palace who's out of contracts. I mean, there's a few that are out of contracts, and Will Hughes might surprise people. Tyreek Mitchell caught my eye,
Yeah.
as that'll get really looked at because that's a good, consistent left back to
Yep.
play for the majority of Premier League clubs. So Palace will want to tie that one down. And Palace, obviously, in recent years, have had some history of not getting that done. Think of Will Sahara, obviously, leaving on a free transfer. So, again, he'll be looking at it going, I mean, for Tyreek Mitchell, is it unthinkable that if he's available on a free, that United or someone like that looks at him?
Not sure about United, but I definitely think a Premier League team. Yeah, 100%. Like you say, he's very dependable, very reliable. If he doesn't get that sorted, he'll 100% be okay, 98% be at another Premier League team next season, in my opinion.
Everton have got 8 players out of contract who are all first team squad members. That does admittedly include second and third choice goalkeepers, but Calvert-Lewin, Decore, Michael Keane, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Ashley Young, very understandable at his age, and I guess the same with Seamus Coleman. With them, I think they might all go.
All of them, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, one, if they go down, they definitely all go.
Yeah.
Two, do Everton actually miss any of them, especially?
That's the thing. Like I saw the names of Calvert-Lewin, Decore, Keane.
Calvert-Lewin will want £100 a week, I
Yeah,
would
and
guess.
I mean Idris Sagana Gay is someone I actually quite rate him as a player, to be honest. But what, yeah, to answer your question, no, they probably wouldn't. But they're players that individually I still think have their uses in certain environments. So, but basically, they are players that I think they could have recouped some money on if they were a bit smarter.
Yeah. Kenny Tete's out of contract at Fulham.
That surprised
That's a
me.
player people like
Yeah, yeah.
at right back. I wonder if there's a consequence of with a player like that. If there's a consequence as the season goes on, like if he doesn't sign, and who knows, again, maybe Fulham might not be offering anything, but if he doesn't sign, does Timothy Castagne begin to take his place in the team, for example? Could similar happen with Raul Jimenez?
That's the interesting one, Jimenez. Like I don't think many of us thought this season he would be playing the way he is. I think we all started the season thinking it's going to be Munez and Jimenez will be there to take some minutes off him here and there. Like maybe that's just caught everyone by surprise and they'll offer him a deal accordingly.
I mean, that was one that the club was obviously very cautious about, considering what he went through when they invested in him anyway. He's only really recently kind of rediscovered the player that we all loved at Wolves. So I again imagine that would be short term stuff. He's the wrong side of 30 now as well. Adama
Don't
Traore's
discriminate, James.
I'm not. Adama Traore is also out of contract in the summer. If anyone wants a flying rapid winger who can't cross or shoot, that's one that's available. It's just you've got a few defensive players out of contract at the end of the season. I wouldn't imagine there's any determination to get that done because, again, what league you potentially going to be playing in? The likes of Wolfenden and Burgess would be more suitable for them if they go down rather than if they stay. If you stay
Yeah,
up, you're looking to
you
improve on
need
it. It's
more
the
quality.
reality,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, good point.
Although I think Axel Twanzebe is another one who's out of contract, done really well for them this year. A shudder for those who played FPL a couple of years ago that Daniel Everson and Danny Ward are both out of contract at Leicester. So too's Jamie Vardy. And I think this probably will be his last season at Leicester City. I did know, obviously, Van Nistelrooy does, as kind of discussed yesterday, very much look like he's going to probably get announced today as the new Leicester manager. And I did remember, didn't I, when Vardy broke the goal scoring record, it was Van Nistelrooy's
Oh, it
record
was
that he
his,
broke.
wasn't it?
So he's rude going to walk in the door and just start to Vardy. It's all mine. It's all mine. It's all mine. We've discussed the Liverpool players. Kevin De Bruyne, he's out of contract at Manchester City, but he's not getting rushed back in the team.
No, I wonder what
I
his
think this will be his
analytics
last
groups.
season at City. Do you know how I feel with him, especially? And this is just a neutral opinion of someone who absolutely admires Kevin De Bruyne as one of the best ever Premier League players. I want him to go
How come?
because I don't think he's going to get back to the level that he was at.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he's still, even against you guys on Saturday, you can still see
I
in
find my
moments.
analysis of him now is critical of all his off the ball stuff.
Yeah, rather than
I
focusing on
don't,
what he's good at. Yeah, and you don't
what a
want to
player,
be
man. Yeah,
viewing
to
him
be
like that.
honest, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'd be quite happy if he went at the end of the season. Also, anyone who's marking Haaland will still also be happy if he goes because he's still got the best delivery around. Gundogan was only a 1 year contract. A few players at Manchester United out of contract. Some won't surprise. So Johnny Evans was on a month contract originally. It's turned into 2 years. Christian Eriksen, Lindelof and Maguire are two players United have been trying to shift for a while and not get money for. I guess unless Ruben Amorim really likes them, they'll probably be allowed to leave for free at the end. And part of the problem with Harry Maguire is obviously because he was on such a big salary, no one wanted to particularly take it. Someone probably will take it if he's available on a free transfer. But I know Amad Diallo, he's out of contract as well. And that's a more interesting one. I guess in the sense he's just broken into the team, basically, was out on loan at Sunderland last season. That's when United will want to get sorted down, though, you would think. Or if they don't, he's possibly available, I would suggest.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
and
get
that.
money for that in January, his age profile.
Yeah, I wonder how much that like 20, 30 mil maybe.
I mean, if Fulham want to go and buy him, I'm not saying it's Fulham, but if Fulham want to go and buy him in January and he's got 4 months left on his contract, uh, you're getting money anyway, aren't you? 15, 20
Yeah,
at a
I think
minimum,
I'd
just
be
because of his age
surprised.
profile.
Yeah,
There'll be a sell on that. It's almost it's a no lose. If it don't work out, you're selling him for the same probably.
I'm surprised that he is in this position though, because yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's a prospect and he is a talent, so I wouldn't be surprised if they tie him down, to
But
be
he
honest.
he could be a classic case where obviously he's been out on loan. There's big competition for the place there. I remember United spent 80 odd million on Anthony a couple of years ago and gone, well, I want to wait and see what happens here and see if I establish myself before I sign. That could be one where United are going, please sign, please sign. He's going, no, I want to be established in this team
Yeah,
before I put pen with no idea.
I think Amram will have quite a big say on that, on how he views him.
There'll probably be a bit of a clear out at Newcastle with 8 players out of contract in the summer, 3 of which are goalkeepers, Dubravka, Gillespie, and Ruddy. But that's okay. They've got Vlachodimos players now. Jamal Lascelles, Fabian Schär, Emil Kraft, Sean Longstaff, Callum Wilson, all out of contract. Schär, I think Newcastle will probably want to move past next year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did go on a free. Longstaff, they probably do want an offer contract too because it's a sellable asset where you will get something, but it might be that they're happy to let that go,
Yeah,
possibly.
I reckon with them they'll look to see do they qualify for Europe and then potentially look to invest accordingly in the summer.
Right, I've got 2 out of contract fullbacks here I can see here who I'd like Tottenham to go and buy.
Go on, who are they?
Right, Ola Aina, that made my jaw go last night when I saw he was out of contract next year. He's 28. Yes, please.
You'd like
Yeah,
him at Tottenham, yeah?
I think he'd cover great on either side.
Sure.
And Cole Walker Peters similar at Southampton as well. Just go and get those 2 in, backup fullbacks, and spend 25, 30 million on the 2 of them now. Yeah, get that done. Or get them both in on free transfers in the summer when we've qualified for the Conference League because we didn't buy a fucking goalkeeper or backup fullbacks. Yeah, Aina at Forest, surprising one. I guess Chris Wood's name will catch people's attention,
Yeah.
but he's 32, so
I can see that being like a
doesn't move
one.
like Salah's 32, does
No,
he? So
no, he doesn't. But I could see that just given how he's playing this year, could see that being like a 1 year extension. That's it.
don't know, be on a strong salary, Chris Wood.
Yeah.
Again, think of the difference with say him and Salah, right? If Liverpool generally did go right, Salah's refusing to sign a new contract, right? He's available for transfer now. Gonna sell him in January, which would obviously go down like lead balloon, just hypothetical. What are you getting in January? If you've got a bidding war for Mo Salah in January, 40, 50,
Yeah,
what are you getting for
probably
Chris
around
Wood?
them. Ha, probably 12 to 18.
You're getting like a Leicester or something, panics and pays the money. Leicester,
Yeah.
bad example because he paid for him before, but that's what you're getting. Oh, yeah, Leicester give you 10 million to, or they'll give you like a loan fee till the end of the season or something.
Yeah,
So,
for what it's worth, on him, it wasn't from a value perspective, just more like he's still a dependable player that's contributing very well for them. So I don't see the upside in them moving him on even for free.
but if you want to replace him next season, and you probably do it with a player on a smaller salary,
Yeah.
that would be a big difference for me. Few others at Southampton out of contract: Jack Stevens, Adam Lallana. At Spurs, Heung-min Son is out of contract. There isn't, as far as I'm aware, any headline on that at the moment because Tottenham can trigger an extension at any time of an
And
additional year. And Son, as far as I'm aware, doesn't get a say in that. It's just Tottenham say, there you go, we've extended your contract for a year.
do you think they're literally waiting till the last minute to see if there's any long-term injury or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do now. Yeah, I thought in the summer, when they went on tour to Korea, they were going to announce it out there, and I was a bit surprised they didn't. It just seemed like, from a marketable perspective, the right time to go and do it. Yes, I think because he too is the wrong side of 30 now. If suddenly, yeah, he did do his ACL or something this summer, it's cold to think like that. But yeah, maybe Tottenham just wouldn't offer him a new deal.
Yeah, makes
So I think it's
sense.
just a case, probably go forward 2, 3 weeks from here. All the ITKs are saying Tottenham will just trigger it at any point. There isn't a concern. They're also saying they're going to trigger a similar extension for Ben Davis as well, which is very much deserved after the way he played at the weekend. And Ben won't kick up any fuss, whether he's fourth choice centre back, fifth choice centre back. Keep him about. Reguilon's out of contract. Fraser Forster's out of contract, but he will definitely get a new contract in March when he's regained his place as England's number one. You might notice I swallowed at the time I said that because I couldn't keep a straight face. West Ham, few out of contract, probably all going to go, I would imagine. Despite the fact he is West Ham's number one at the moment, Fabianski's out of contract. Aaron Cresswell's barely involved anymore. I think Soufal would probably be moved on. Danny Ings and Mikel Antonio as well. I think Ings and Antonio will be on salaries sizable enough that West Ham will let that go, I think.
Yeah, agree with that.
Just to finish, Wolves, a couple of interesting ones. Sarabia, I imagine, would probably let go. Craig Dawson, he's out of contract as an important player for them, very experienced. Mario Lemina,
Yeah, he's a good player, I think.
he is. And Nico's cousin,
I know, Mr. Semedo. He'll be gutted.
he's out of contract as well. I think he joined Wolves on a
Oh,
Bosman
was he a
from
free?
Barcelona. I think so. I might have that wrong,
Do you know
but
what,
I think
Rick?
so as well.
As you've read out all of that list and the clubs, I can definitely see some interchanging moves there between people going on a free to another Premier League club next summer. I can see quite a lot
Examples?
of like Antonio Ings. I can see them staying within the league. Lamina, I could see him staying within the league if um he doesn't sign the contract. You've spoken about the two fullbacks, whether they end up at Spurs, I'm not sure, in Aina or Walker Peters. But again, like there's a lot of like just dependable players there that I can see not being quite good enough to go and be starters at places, but maybe just kind of being squad players in Premier League teams that aren't necessarily fighting on all fronts.
Okay. I think probably most of them don't get picked up by other Premier League clubs, to be honest. I think interesting ones are them younger profile ones, Diallo's, Mitchell's.
Mitchell,
They're
yeah.
interesting ones to keep an eye on. Mario Lemina maybe falls into that as well. Ola Aina at Forest. I wouldn't be surprised if Aina ended up at like a Man City or something, you know.
Really? You think he's that
Yeah,
good?
it's not that I think he's that good. I just think like he's that competent as a
Yeah.
backup, like I have a fullback position for any team. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna start paying
Um,
more attention to him. I want to analyze him.
I think he can play. He can play the line. I think he can play inverted. It's great modern fullback play, right or left. Doesn't seem phased either side. Yeah, I really like Olorena. He really stood out, ironically, to me. Massive, really caught the eye in a game they played against City in April that they lost. I thought it was fantastic. I've been watching him quite closely since then because I have an eye for my inverted fullbacks, Clates, because you know they like to disappear into weird positions. Okay, that is all for the Clayton and James show. Ask James tomorrow.
People's poll mates, not Clayton and James show.
Sorry, thanks, Clates. Cut. That's all for the People's Power podcast, which I don't think there is one next week because we've got 2 game weeks. So there's a lot of game week review stuff going on and cut the clash of correspondence as well. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning. It is scheduled for 9:30. It might be slightly later than that, but it was close to a 9:30 a.m. start as possible. So remember, it is a Friday, game week 13 deadline. Just leaves me to say thanks very much, Clates. Be nice to each other, everyone. Cue music, please, man child.